Home, the gold.
He could be too far. No, he's kicking. Oh, what a catch!
Puts a spicy forehand out in front of Naomi Morcilla.
Wu for the win. Team Canada. Garrett Wu!
Santos with the layout grab.
Oh, that fantastic grab. The claws of Chaffer.
Canada just became the world champions.
Canada and the rest of the world. You are listening to the Huckin podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Theo Wan, recording again out of St. Catharines, Ontario.
You're still not ready to tell the world why you're there?
Nah, because I haven't posted on my Instagram, you know what I'm saying? So
Okay. So there's a process. Okay. And I'm Danie Proby from Vancouver, BC, and we are your coast to coast guide to all things Canadian Ultimate. We have a jam-packed episode, but Theo, I will give you exactly 30 seconds to tell everybody what you've been up to.
Well, I played Frisbee for the first time in a little bit, and it was Niagara Ultimate. So shout out Niagara Ultimate.
Oh.
Very welcoming, and I'm wired right now. I will not be able to sleep in the next few hours. That's for sure. I don't know how people play so late in the night, like playing till like 9 p.m. Like, how do you like sleep, Danie? Tell me.
No, I know it's tough because we play 8 to 10 usually in like the fall and winter, and by the time I'm home and have eaten and like I'm ready for bed, it's after midnight.
But aren't you like
It's
wired?
rough.
Are you wired though? Like I'm wired. I cannot sleep right now. Like I'm
I'm wired. Yes.
Yeah, I'm fired.
I mean, I'm always wired, but yeah, especially after Frisbee, especially if I've played well or something, I'm like, oh, that was a fun huck or whatever. Yes. Absolutely.
So that's I don't know if you can make it any earlier because even just going to this league for the first time, there was like youth soccer, so they always get the field. So I assume it's like that over
Which
there.
is fair.
They gotta sleep early.
Yes. The babies. And we're just like silly adults playing a dog sport. So I understand.
How's the teaching life?
Crazy. Thanks for asking. Okay, I did post about this on my Instagram, but literally there was this kid in my social studies 9 class today wearing a mask all class, coughing, comes over to me to ask a question, gets within 3 inches of my face,
Oh no.
takes off her mask to talk to me, and coughs.
So you got the Rona is what you're telling me.
I'm saying that I might have been exposed. I just like, if you're going to be wearing a mask, don't take it off to talk to somebody. What are you doing? Like, I'm precious cargo. I got a lot of big events coming up. And then later I was subbing for phys ed class, just playing some casual handball. And this kid, nothing crazy happened, just like stepped weird, dislocated knee. It was like bumping out in a few different places, and the ambulance took about an hour to get there. So it was a late day at school. He was a trooper though. The best part is that he's in marching band, and all the marching band kids were outside. And so when he got pulled out in a stretcher, they were all lining the sidewalk. They lined it as they're like rolling this kid out into the ambulance. They're playing like they're playing 8672309, whatever, 8675309, that song. They were playing that song with their instruments, like seeing this kid into the ambulance. It was epic.
I mean, sounds like an epic day. So thank you for recording with us after such an epic teaching day. And also, hopefully you're not
It's
sick.
been a time.
So,
Yeah.
because you got events coming up. So we got events coming up too. It's all in the news. Well, some of it's in the news. And then we're going to do, of course, our CUUC Preview. D1. We'll talk a little bit about D2. Even there's a D3 out here. We're going to talk like maybe a minute about it. But hit us in the news right now. We're going there. And then CUUC Preview.
We now have breaking news.
Welcome to the news, everybody. First up, we've got Masters Team Canada tryouts. Dates, times announced. So any players that are interested in trying out for any of the 3 Masters teams and the Grand Masters Open team must apply before October 20th at midnight. So space is limited, so make sure you get your application in. They might have to limit participants, or they might have to kind of do an invite only if there's too many people. So the tryout dates and locations are Burnaby Lake Sports Complex for the West, November 11th and 12th, and the U Ottawa Dome December 9th and 10th. So very, very, very exciting stuff.
Is your tryout indoors or outdoors?
It's always outdoors. We don't do indoors here.
Oh. That dome is definitely be indoors. So make sure you got your throws dialed in, folks. Danie, you're trying out. Is that right? Are you allowed to announce that?
Yes, I am. Of course I can announce that. I'm trying out. Well, if they invite me to the tryouts, that is.
Invite only. You know how it is.
Exactly. So I'm going to be checking my email. That invite.
Invite Danie to tryouts. Okay. Next thing is CUUC Junior All-Stars. So every year, Junior All-Stars are selected from each team. Do we know, do they get picked by other teams or their own team, or?
I think they're their own team. So they're kind of like announced as like somebody that kind of emulated the sport and spirit of Ultimate.
So check out the UC website to see all the winners. And you can give some love to the Junior All-Stars out here. Bring
Your Disc to Work Day for 2023 has come to a close. So congratulations to the winners, Lana Dolgova, Sammy Mesba, UPEI. I guess it's for like a specific, like for a school, and Matthew Page. So congratulations to all of them. There's also something that we want to talk about, but there's this web comic that has existed for a long time in Ultimate, and it's quite hilarious. And they do a little bit on Canadians and Canadian Ultimate players in this kind of web comic. It's called Contested Strip. They're both named Megan, the two people who created it. They're hilarious. They're about to do like a kind of a kickstart for a comic novel that they're doing called One More Year, and it's called the Ultimate Graphic Novel. So it's called an classic underdog sports comedy, but also a love story for weekend warriors, obsessed hobbyists, and everyone who loves Ultimate. So they're super, super excited. One of the Megans is Canadian from North Vancouver. So
wait, really?
I think that we, so we got to stay tuned. The Kickstarter is happening October 16th. We will post on our social media as well, because we love supporting people who are doing good things in Ultimate.
Yeah. Drop them a like on socials. I think you posted something on our account too about the mixed team in Ukraine, correct? I know that's not.
Yes.
Really,
yes.
That was unplanned news, but can you? I didn't see too much about it, but they're fundraising? Is that correct?
There's a team wanting to go to. Well, there's a team from Ukraine going to Beach Worlds, and I know that WIFDIF and stuff has made accommodations for them to be able to go because from financially. And so they're just looking to help kind of pay for some of their players to be able to make it, because I think it's I think the little bit of financial assistance goes a long way for them. And I know for a lot of people too, but I just felt compelled to, / was asked to share that.
So take a look at that. That is our news. We're going to jump into the main event, which is CUUC Preview. We're going to talk about Friday qualifiers first. We'll do some picks as well, so join us after the break.
Hey, this is Sam Burge from the University of Manitoba, your 2022 Huckin A D1 College Women's Coach of the Year. And you're listening to the Huckin A podcast, your coast-to-coast guide for all things Canadian Ultimate.
All right, main event time, folks. It's college season. I know for some of the West Coast teams, it's not fully college season yet, but out here in the East, it is college season. It's come to a close with this final tournament. Friday is always very exciting. I've never been able to go to the Friday qualifier, but it sounds like the best time. So we're going to start on women's. We're going to talk about the teams by pot. So if you haven't had a chance to watch the draw, you can go to Ultimate Canada's YouTube page for that. Batch does a draw. And so we're going to talk about like the teams kind of by tiers. So Danie's going to kick us off talking about a team from Montreal.
All right. Number 6 in our power rankings, we have McGill. So they finished 3rd overall in D1 in 2022. In their kind of Quebec regionals, they took a loss 9-4 to Laval. They went 3-3 at Easterns, finishing 4th overall. And their best win to date is over Guelph 11-9. They also have close loss to McMaster 11-9, which was for a bid at Eastern. So narrowly getting that, almost like narrowly vying for that bid rather. They lost a lot of firepower. So normally we would see them kind of a little bit higher in the rankings or even clinching bids, but they lost Leanne Campbell, who is our D1 player of the year, Nina Prevost and Joy Zhu, to name a few. And so The fact that they're poised for another D1 bid is a testament to the depth of this program and, B teams, kind of recruitment, all that good stuff.
Another team that lost some firepower is Queens. I know I wasn't like as high up on them, but they proved me wrong a little bit. They're 8 in the power rankings. They finished 7th in D1 in 2022. They have stability with their coach Paul Renault, and then they brought back some players who are now coaches in Tess Whitman and Katie Saborski. 8-4 on the year, but they have not beat teams kind of in the high tier like Toronto and Ottawa. So they hold a 1-1 record against Guelph, and the teams below them in Pot B, they've all beaten. So, Batch, you do a good job of putting the tiers in, is all I'm saying. Good job, Mr. Fact Checker.
Mr. Fact Checker, Batch Fact Checker. What's his actual first name? Andrew, right?
Is it Andrew? I don't know. I just know his Batch.
Yeah. Batch Mick Fact Checker. All right. Number 9th in our power rankings, we've got Guelph, the 2022 D2 champions. So strong start for this team. They made it all the way to the Steeltown finals, including a big 11-5 win over McMaster at that tournament. Unfortunately, Easterns did not go their way. They lost to Mac in pool play by 1 and McGill in quarters, placing 6th after losing to Queens as well. So though I know there's a lot of hype for this team, they returned U24 and Union player Brianna Prentice, amongst others who have club experience. But can this team exercise the demons of the past? Remember last year, they did the lose, see ya. Theo's favorite. I think it's so rough to say that, but it's also a little funny.
Yeah, you don't wish that upon anyone. And I'm gonna fact check that myself here because I wrote the note on this. Guelph is actually 8th in our power rankings and Queens is 7th, so don't come at me, those two schools. Anyways, the next tier of teams, we got Western out here. They came 3rd in D2 in 2022. They sit currently 10th in our power rankings. They got top recruit Danie Jano here, joining them from Dino. And they told us they were excited about the recruiting class. Teams in this pot, similar, TMU and Waterloo. They're 2-1 against TMU and 1-1 against Waterloo. So take that for what you will. TMU came 2nd in D2 last year. Their results have been kind of okay. They won a game at Steeltown against Waterloo 7-6, but they also lost to Queens by 1. They placed 10th at Eastern, so not the most momentum heading into this tournament. And then Waterloo came 6th in D2 last year. No more Tiffany Zhang, and that is a big loss because I would say she'd probably be the best player in the division if she was there, or one of the best. They got 2 wins on the season defeating Western and Brock, so we'll see how they do. And then there's a couple other teams rounding out the field.
Yeah, we have Montreal. They have a win over Sherbrooke this season, but they could not beat the likes of McGill and Laval at their regionals. Regina finished last in their regional competition. And then Memorial, not eligible because of consortium, didn't attend their regionals, but they're allowed to attend this tournament.
Yeah, I don't think you have to play regionals. And that's also mixed, right? So I don't think you have to play it. So they're out here playing. Consortium, sorry, you're not eligible. So anywho, now we're going to go into the actual teams that have already qualified. So there's going to be 5 teams that have already qualified. And we're going to start in Pool A.
Okay, so we have number 3 in our power rankings. They're kind of like the number 1 seed here in this tournament. They're the number 1 seed in this pool. They're the top seed, top dog. So they finished 6th in D1 in 2022. Their last title was technically in 2019. Rest in peace.
I had to put that in there. I'm sorry. I had to put that in there. I had to do it.
Well, you didn't put rest in peace. That was my...
Yeah, you put the rest in peace.
My little flair. Pour one out for the lost homies. Well, we've talked about the players that they brought back, like Jocelyn Lees, who are 2022 Offensive Player of the Year, and Alicia Zhang. But the injection of talent with transfer Jess Gao, who has been with winning titles before from McMaster, and Dino player Emily Zhang and Emily Yen should help them compete once again. So super strong, either rookies. Jess Gao, it's so hard to call her a rookie after all she's already been able to do in Ultimate, but transfer. They are 9-2 on the season, and their only losses are 1 point to McMaster in pool play at Steeltown and Ottawa in the finals of Easterns. Now we have number 1 power ranked overall Manitoba. So they're the 2nd in this pool and 4th overall. They finished second last year at the same tournament for D1. Never won a title. That's an interesting stat. So they've been in our power rankings as number 1 all year long, which is like, I know, probably a little bit surprising and also tough. Without having the kind of cross-country matchups, it's actually quite hard to rank. We just kind of go off of historical data, who's graduated, etc. Just throwing darts at the board or noodles at the wall or whatever the sayings are. So they won their regionals quite easily. The 38-point differential in pool play, won semis 15-0 and finals 12-4. So there you go. They do not lose any major players from last year. They've got Alexa Gagnon, who's U20 PBHG, Caitlin and Emily Cho, U24 Fusion, Jillian Bannister, Millie Wright, Taya Nielsen, Zoe Dick, Rachel Mann. It goes on. There's like a long list. So they've got a lot of Team Manitoba players joining them as well. And they return 2022 Coach of the Year, Sam Barrage is back. So can they handle the windy conditions of Brampton? Do they get enough experience in Manitoba with those kind of conditions? And have they played against enough competition? So number 5 and number 7 number 5 and number 7 overall will be the 3rd and 4th place teams. These teams are coming up from the qualifier. So the obvious pool play game to watch is U of T versus Manitoba on the live stream, in fact. So Ultimate Canada out here live streaming at least 6 games.
Yeah, there's some decent games being streamed. There's some qualifier games as well. It's kind of the de facto game to watch because we don't know the other teams. That's what happens.
Of course.
Now Pool B, we know the 3 teams in this one. So number 2 in our power rankings, number 2 overall, first seed in Pool B. Okay, this team did come last in D1 last year. I know that. Okay, folks, I know. They won it all the way back in 2010, but looking for their first kind of D1 title. I'm super hyped about this team because I know they got a bunch of stellar players. They also have Naomi Peterson, who's played Iris in TCU 24. And then they added a bunch of Wicked West players who, one of them will probably end up in the Rookie of the Year voting. I'm going to say that. And they got Sasha Palmer, who, once again, has been winning championships with the McMaster. Their only loss on the season is U of T in semis of Steeltown. Otherwise, they're 11-1 on the year. They beat U of T, as we already mentioned, in finals of Easterns, and they have 2 big wins over last year's champion, McMaster, who is the 3 seed in this pool. Kind of fun that Sasha gets to play against her old team. And yeah, I think that's just fun. That's cool. You know? Do you
fun not for her old team.
Do you feel bad, Danie? This is going to be a segue or side chat here. Do you feel bad that you're playing against your old team? Like, she beat her old team and then McMaster had to go down in the bracket. You know what I mean? Like, do you feel bad?
I remember there was somebody who played 4 years at UVic, and then in their 5th year, they switched to UBC. And everyone was like, aren't you going to be mad at her? And we're all like, no, we love her. And she played great and everything. It does suck when you're playing against them. That same thing might happen again this season. There might be a UVic recruit potentially playing for UBC this season as well. And you just kind of, if you love the person hard enough, you just wish them well. You could want to beat them with every single ounce of your being during the game, but you want them to succeed.
There you go. So McMaster, we've already talked a bit in another preview about their losses. Not just Gao and Palmer, but also Safina Sujini, they're one of their captains, and Amanda Hadwin, who's now on Sixers. But they do get some people with club experience back from Crux, Crank, and Local 613, and they add some Toro recruits and Hillary Bohm Edwards from Wicked. They're 7-4 on the year, with their best win being a pool play victory over U of T at Steeltown. They also hold a 10-9 win over Guelph at Easterns. But they did lose big to U of T in crossovers at Easterns and suffered a 15-8 loss to Ottawa in semis. So they were able to punch back and beat McGill by 2 to get a bid and not have to worry about the Friday qualifier. So we'll see if that momentum carries forward. A team that I think a lot of people aren't going to know as much is Laval. So they're the 4 in our power rankings, 5 overall here. They won Quebec without Penelope Robert being there because she was at regionals. They've won titles all the way back in 2017, 2018. They got a few players with experience from Cube, Quest, and Venus, and they came 5th last season. I think our teams not being able to see them is an advantage. There ain't no film out here in the college scene in Canada, folks. So the fact that no one knows who you are, that's a benefit, I think. The question is, like, they haven't lost. So what happens when they start to go down against McMaster or Ottawa? Like, how are they going to respond? That's the real question. Okay. The winner of CC pool on Friday will be the 8th seed overall. We're going to talk a little bit about the fun stats of this tournament. Pool play matters in some ways, but not like fully. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not a biggest fan of the format. There's got to be a way to make pool play like matter a little bit more. But anywho, quarters and finals will be live streamed. Finals happening around 3:00 Eastern. That's women's. I already got through D1. That's pretty sick. We're going to go through picks. So I got to find my bracket here. Danie just filled out the form. And so you should do the same, folks. Whatever you're doing, you should fill out the form. And then you can enter and try to win an Ulti-World subscription. So,
okay, so you're doing your qualifiers and quarter semis finals, I assume.
Well, everyone makes quarters, so semis and finals, yeah. And third, I guess. Is that good?
Sorry, semis, finalists, winner is what I meant to say.
Yeah, I know. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, so qualifiers, do you want to go first?
Okay, I got Montreal. Sorry, we're talking about women?
Yeah, so you have Montreal beating Queens, is that right?
Okay, let me go back. McGill.
Okay.
Do you have McGill qualifying?
Yeah, I have McGill, yeah.
Okay, I have Queens. I don't even know if this is going to be possible.
Yeah, Queens and Montreal in the same pool, so they cannot.
No, I don't have Montreal for women.
Oh, okay.
And then I have Guelph.
Oh, yeah, so you go chalky. Yeah, I went chalk too. Nice.
It kind of was hard not to go chalk. I tried really hard, but I couldn't make a strong enough case to not go chalk there. So
I had to go chalk. Okay,
I'm very yes.
The real question is what you got for semis. I want to hear it.
It's chalky too. It's top 4. Like I couldn't think of like who would slip into that top 4. Like who's going to be Manitoba? Who's going to be McMaster? Like I can't not put McMaster here after years of them proving us wrong. Like it's like I couldn't do it. And so I've got Toronto, Ottawa, McMaster, and Manitoba. And maybe that's wrong because they did lose some people and they clearly haven't been as strong this year. But my heart couldn't do it.
Okay. So McMaster fans, you know what I'm gonna say. I don't have you in there. You know that I was gonna do that. Come on. I want to be in this video again. So McMaster, this is their soundbite. Unfortunately, I think, the loss is maybe a little too much for them to deal with this year. So I actually have Manitoba Laval in one semifinal, and I have Ottawa and Toronto in the other semifinal. And I have Ottawa and Manitoba in the finals with Manitoba winning. So that's my bracket.
Okay, so we're different.
Toronto comes third. Toronto, you come third.
I got Toronto versus Ottawa in finals, and I have Toronto winning.
Who gets third? Okay. Is it Mac? You got the Mac?
No, I got Manitoba.
Put the soundbite.
Sorry, Mac. I can only go so far.
Put the soundbite in the video. We want it. We want it all. Okay.
I just for Toronto, there's too many players on that team that I know how to clutch up.
They got those Dino recruits out here, man. We didn't really talk about them like during the year, but I think they're gonna do well. And yeah, so I have U of T coming third. You have them coming first. So anything else for women's, or we want to jump into open?
No.
All right.
No. Good luck, everybody. I'll be watching when I can. I got a training camp, but I will be tuning in on the drive if I'm not driving. So
watching and driving, that's safe. We're gonna go.
I said if I'm not driving.
Oh, okay, fair. All right, we're going to go to open. Once again, we're going to do the pot thing and talk about the teams by tiers. So we'll start off with Guelph. They're 8th in our power rankings. They came 7th in D2 last year. They finished in the finals, of Steeltown, but did not have a great Easterns. We know they got some top-level players like Oscar Stonehouse and Griffin McKee. And by the way, Guelph, you talk a big game on socials. I see you in the comments in the power rankings saying, why are we below Carleton, all that good stuff. I just hope for your sake you're able to back it up on Friday, because people are going to bring the receipts out at you. So Guelph, I'm talking to you right now. I'm hoping you clutch up, because I love talking the game on socials. You just got to back it up on the field.
Speaking of backing it up on the field, we got Sherbrooke, number 6 in our power rankings, 3rd overall in D2 in 2022. Okay. I've seen both Leonard brothers play, And I know specifically more Felix because of U24, but like this kid knows how to will a team to win. So I'm pretty excited to watch them play. They also have top 3 transfer Antoine Dubé coming to help out their team. Only 1 loss this season. They're 5-1 wins against Montreal and Laval in the tournament. Obviously, Montreal looks a little bit different, which we'll talk about later, but still a win. A win's a win.
Up next, we have our perennial D2 champions, number 7 in our power rankings. You know, I make this joke, but they have been in D2 purgatory for a very long time. So they just keep winning D2. So this is what I wrote in the note. Winning D2 is fun, but making D1 is even funner. So Carleton, this is the year you told us in your preview like content to us that you want to get out of the D2 the D2 landscape. So they're hoping to get there. We talked about Owen Dagler before in kind of our graphics. He's a top recruit from Ignite. Their Phoenix guys are back. So it's tough because they came fourth, took a loss to Mac for the bid after beating McGill in the semis. Hey, third place semis. So Carleton, is this the year you get out of the D2 purgatory? That's it.
Sucks for that to be like your team's rep. All right. Montreal, currently unranked, which we'll talk about why this is an interesting note in a sec, but they finished 3rd in D1 in 2022. So obviously they did not do well at their regionals, but the majority of their like top players were playing with Mephisto at regionals. So they actually missed this event. But we can't ignore those results, but they can put an asterisk beside them. So we got Defensive Player of the Year of 2022, Ewan Conacher, and then we have Julia Senechal. We have so many players, Charles Gay from the U24 mixed team, just like Raf Salvas. I think that they're going to surprise people. And I mean, they're going to be scary.
They've won it before, so watch out for Montreal. The next tier, we got a few teams I'm going to talk about. So we have Waterloo A, which is 6th in D1. We know they lost a bunch of people. You called him the James Carprise. They lost him. Lawrence Max, Scott Graham. They still have Jack Parker and Arthur Chow. They've been a mid team this season, and I say that because of the record. They're 6-5, so perhaps a bit better than mid. They have no wins over teams in a tier above them, and they did suffer a loss to Laurier, who's also in this tier, but they did avenge that loss later on. Laurier's another team in this tier, 13th in D2. Justin, is it Low or Luo?
I always say Luo, but
Justin Luo.
Say it quickly, and then
Justin Luo, leader and heartbeat of the team. I know he's very passionate about Laurier. They added some Toro players and got a Dino player. Do you know this name, Luke Wilkie? Does that name ring a bell?
Yeah, rings a bell for sure.
Okay, there you go. They went 5-6, but like I said, they have a big win over Waterloo. They do have a loss to Brock at Steeltown, but avenged that at Easterns. Toronto, a team that we had ranked before, they came 2nd in D2 last year. They went exactly 500. They have Kevin Tong. He's going to be there the whole tournament. Can he will them to D1? That's the question. They did place 9th at Eastern, so not the best. So they've had some, like mid-tier results. We'll see how they do. Western came 4th in D2 in 2022. They have an 8-5 record, but I hate to say this to you, Western, and I'm an alma mater. I went there. You have some wins over B teams and then some kind of lower like teams like York and Trent. So their record isn't very inspiring, but maybe they could surprise. They got some club players out there. So we'll see.
All right. Then we have kind of in their own tier, TMU, 14th in D2 in 2022. They're, according to the schedule makers, in their own tier. You're going to have to explain this a little bit, but they're 7-5. They got 4 wins against B teams, and they do have wins over York, Trent, and Brock as well. And they're just hoping to gain some experience from being there. Okay, so what do you mean they're in their own tier?
So if you look at the pots that the schedule maker made, I stand corrected. There's a pool of Memorial kind of got sandwiched in there, but now they're in the pot with a B team. Sorry, TMU. You're not in a tier of your own anymore. Sorry.
Well, then the B teams rounded out. So we got Queens B, we got Mac B, and McMaster B. Super exciting. So
we love B teams.
We're such big fans of B teams. So are you ready to head into the preview? Okay. All right. We have number 1 seed overall, 3rd in the power rankings, Manitoba. So they finished 1st in 2022. Defending champs are back, albeit with a lot of pieces have left their team. So Stephen Crew left. Zach Tottle is gone. Quinn Wilson, just to name a few. The remaining players that are kind of the star-studding people are Nick McFadden, D1 Player of the Year and Offensive Player of the Year last year, and Jack Murray. They brought in number 1 recruit Cooper Pole from Team Manitoba, so his team could still compete for a title. This team, I think this recruitment for Manitoba is something that really helps them every year, because all of these Team Manitoba kids, it's not like there's so many options. If you go to school in Ontario, there's a bazillion different Frisbee schools you can go to. If you want to play Frisbee, you go to Manitoba. So there you go. They did have an uninspired regionals, losing to Alberta twice, but of course they were missing all of their generous strike players. So sort of a similar fate to Montreal. So take that with a grain of salt. Expect them to pop off at this tournament.
I hope they come in mad about what happened at North Central Regionals, and they just what Danie said one time long ago, revenge tour. You know what I'm saying?
Revenge tour.
Maybe they come on the revenge tour. Okay, 4th in our power rankings, 4th overall. Second seed in the pool is McGill. They came 4th last year. They ran over Quebec, but did stumble a little bit at Easterns. They have Calvin Colberry, fan of the pod, U24 player. Montreal.
The Calvin Colberry.
Oh my gosh, are you the every person that's played U24s?
They're my babies. Yes.
They got some Manic players out here. I really like Nathan Wu. I've played against him, seen him play, a U20 kid. They added a D1 track athlete, which we've talked about, and then top recruit Kai O'Donnell from Dino. They hold an 8-2 record. We're not including the first Quebec tournament there. But yeah, they did lose to Carleton and Ottawa. So, take that for what you will. I think this team has a bunch of veteran players that are going to be in their final years. I feel like Calvin Colbert's been at McGill forever. So
yeah, he's a 9th year student.
I remember commentating, I think in 2019, and he was still there. So I think this has got to be the last hurrah for some of these players. So can they win a title in the last hurrah?
Time will tell. So next we have 6 in our power rankings. 3rd in this pool, 6th overall, McMaster. This team came 8th in D2 last year, so 16th overall. So it's their first time ever in D1. Whoop, whoop. Good job, McMaster. So really, really proud, really, really hyped for your program. It's awesome. It's been probably pretty tough for you to watch your women's team just crush beside you on the field while you're in D2. So now you get to be right there with them. So at Steeltown, they came 4th, only dropping games to Queens and Ottawa. At Easterns, they got blown out by Ottawa, but beat Waterloo, Guelph, and Carleton on Sunday to get the bid. So very, very impressive to go win, win, win. See ya in D1. That's a more nicer see ya. They got some of those Winnipeg recruits as well. So keep your eyes to see what they can do with them.
Last seed in the pool is number 8, C4. The winner of the DD pool. So that is the pool. We kind of didn't really talk about the pools for Friday qualifier, but those include the top seeds of Carleton and Montreal. Okay, so they're headed on the crash course there. Manitoba versus McGill, I believe that's being streamed, and that also could be for the pool, so keep an eye out for that. Now we're going to talk about this team. We have them finally in the number 1 in the power rankings, the number 2 seed overall. They did come 7th in D1, but this team does it again. They go undefeated in the regular season. They win both Steeltown and Easterns for a second year in a row. And they're U24 players. Tyler Gunasakura, got that right again. Dax Miller.
Tyler.
Oh my gosh. The Tyler Gunasakura.
The Cam.
Oh my. I literally just put in the U24 mixed players. But anyways, they headlined this group. But there's also the Team Canada mixed head coach. Who is it, Danie?
The Pete Galbraith.
Yeah, absolute legend, by the way. So I've had the opportunity to pick his brain many a time. And yeah, he's got a lot of knowledge, okay? So anywho, they finished 7th last year. And so they're trying to exercise those demons out here, okay? They did what they did last year. They had a good regular season, but can they put it together in the postseason? Because regular season only, it's you get a bid, but you got to do it in the postseason, folks. Can they win a title? Their first one since 2018.
I feel like with so many of these players getting really high pressure game exposures, whether it's through CUCs or through U24s, that should definitely help them kind of be able to kind of keep on course when things get a little bit more intense this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do exponentially better this year. So we've got Ottawa, who's second in our power rankings, second in this pool, and number 3 overall in this tournament. They finished second in D1 in 2022. So they showed a lot of potential at Easterns once they finally got all their players back. It's super fun to watch them up against Queens with Cam Kennedy going face to face with his former team. That's Theo's favorite thing to watch. He thinks it's like a little spicy to see the players play against their homies and like the team that made them. But I guess so too. Some said that Cam Knox was a top transfer snub. So prove it. Absolutely prove it. They came third at Steeltown despite missing people. They did take a 1-point loss to Guelph. They hold a win over McGill, McMaster, and only 1-point loss to Queens. So Luke Phelan coached the years back, and they added Habib Atala, the U20 coach, as well. So they're coming in guns blazing.
That game, is that being streamed? No, it's not. But that should be streamed because that game is going to be like fire. That's going to be straight fire. You got like those storylines that we already mentioned. Danie, I'm going to talk about your neck of the woods. UVic out here. Let's go. They're in D1 this time.
Boop, boop.
Okay, 9th in the power rankings, 6th in D2 last year. They won all their games at Westerns, albeit UBC, wasn't a full UBC. But hey, you still won. You got to do it. They're bringing returners to this tournament. We know that they obviously want to try to make a run at U.S. College Nats as well. So they're bringing the vets out here. The Petnuzzo brothers, Max and Justin, still eligible to play for UVic? Okay.
I don't know how.
U20, U24. Hey, he's on the roster I was sent. So Ben Baird as well. And then I had to put this in caps. Theo Davis. Who is this Theo Davis? He's on the roster. He's got my name. So he's got to be pretty good. But I was told no Ricky McLeod, though, for the fall. Going to get him back in the spring. So UVic, one thing that I always admire is I know a bunch of UVic alum. And they, like Clay Howlett, they love each other. Like, the UVic alum just go everywhere. Like, at Nationals,
I love everyone.
We were playing, Local was playing, and multiple UVic people were cheering on Trevor. Like, Dave Whitney Brown, Keegan Freeland was there. Like, a bunch of people were like, go, Trevor. And it's like, you don't get that with a lot of college programs out here.
I know I coach UBC, but there is something very special about the community of Ultimate in Victoria. Those two teams, I would bet to say that that's the strongest bond between the women's and the opens team at any university in Canada. I would not think that could even come close. The fact that they practice together, go to all the tournaments on the same bus together, they live in houses together beside each other, and like that's just the way it's always been. And the fact that the season is longer than all these teams kind of in the East, they get an opportunity to actually get to meet each other. Plus there's tons of siblings and stuff between the two teams, and probably lots of dating, if it's anything like I was when I was back there.
Oh gosh. Okay, we need a whole episode on that, Danie. This is what you're telling me. Stories from UVic's Danie's days.
The team cest. All right, that's my cue to go. All right. So, what is happening with this EE pool? I don't understand your writing here, but I know that Sherbrooke and Guelph are in this pool.
It's their Friday qualifier pool. So probably the winner of Sherbrooke Guelph, unless something upsets earlier on in the pool, will be the 7 seed and the 4 seed in Pool D.
I see. And then semis and finals, they will be streamed with finals taking place at 1:15 local time. It is time. Picks.
Okay. Oh, we got to do qualifier picks first, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, as I said before, I think Montreal is going to qualify, and Sherbrooke.
Oh, you're a little Quebec love out here. I like that. Can you say that in Francais or no?
Je t'aime Quebec.
I think that means I like Quebec. I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have Sherbrooke as well. Sorry, Guelph. Leonard Brothers, rise up. I think you're going to pull it off. And I have this team come. What were you going to say, Danie?
Just not picking Guelph is hard.
It is because they had some good results. They almost beat Queens. They lost by hard cap by 1, so they were close.
I know. I think it's a spicy leave off on our part.
Yeah, it's going to motivate them. And then I have this team coming out of D2 Purgatory. So Carleton, I'm willing this into existence for you. You are going to come out of Purgatory and you are going to make D1. Let's go. So that's what we have for the picks. for qualifiers, and I guess we got to do our actual bracket picks here too. So, who do you got in the semis? Who do you got?
Manitoba, Queens, Ottawa, McGill.
Oh, so chalk, same.
I really want. I have a feeling that Montreal could sneak in there, but I don't have that at this current moment.
Okay, so I have the same. My semis actual games though will be Manitoba versus Ottawa, and Queens versus McGill. And I'm gonna throw some spice in here. I have Ottawa upsetting Manitoba in the semis, and Queens winning against McGill, and I have Queens winning their first title since 2018, defeating Ottawa. Cam Kennedy defeats his old team and wins a title. That's what I got. Third place, Manitoba.
I also have Manitoba in third, but I have Queens Ottawa final with Queens winning.
Sick. Okay. We got some similar results out here. We like that. Okay, there you go. So once again, if we didn't pick your team, hopefully that motivates you. If we picked your team, hopefully that doesn't jinx you. And yeah, we wish the best of luck to all the teams. But this isn't the only tournament happening. There's also D2. So we know some of the teams that aren't going to make it in the Friday qualifier will be in D2, but we already know some teams that are in D2. So we're not going to talk about every team in D2, unfortunately. Sorry. But we're talking about a couple teams in D2.
Right. Starting off with the women's division, the top seed that we know of is Sherbrooke, 5th overall in D2 in 2022. They're 3-3, and they have 2 wins over B teams, plus also the University Quam. Just kind of what I want to say it. UQuam. I don't. So satisfying. We also have Brock, 8th in D2 2022. They're kind of 9th overall in our power rankings. They're 5-7 on the year. They have some good wins over TMU and Waterloo twice. And they have a 1-point loss over top seed in Ottawa at Steeltown. So quite a strong D2 contender. Other teams competing in D2, we got Laval B, Carleton, UQAM, Laurier, Dalhousie, McGill B, and Toronto B.
There you go. D2 Open. One of the top seeds we know of is Dalhousie. They won their regionals in thrilling fashion. Remember, it's mixed. They beat Moncton. They have a couple ex-Toro Open players in Michael Popik and Liam Vigar. But they do not have Huckin superfan Dylan McDonald on the roster. At least I didn't see it. So we'll see how they do. Laval A, a lot of people said, they should be ranked, but they're not going D1. They're going to go D2. Let's see how they deal with some of their losses. Got to talk about Brock. They're 5-7, but they do hold a win over U of T and Laurier. And some other teams in this Div 2. What did you say? UQuam? Algonquin?
Well, one of them
Quam.
was written UQuam. This one's UQuam.
UQuam, that's right. Algonquin, Laval B, Trent plus Ontario Tech. Concordia, nice to see a team out there. That means Griffin's playing with them probably. Maybe. Sick. His brother has the sickest name though, Callahan, come on. Toronto B, Carleton B, Lakehead from Thunder Bay. Let's hope you're flying because it's far. Regina.
You want to know what? I'm just gonna interrupt you for a quick sec. Imagine just graduating high school and going to college, and you're on a first name basis on the Huckin podcast. You're like, Griffin will probably be there. You just know him, not even a last name. That's so awesome.
Hey,
we are so niche.
He's a baller. He's a baller though. He's a baller.
Agreed.
Guelph B rounds out this Division 2. Lots of B teams love it. Regina Lakehead love it. There's also D3. So there's a D3 division out here. 5v5, Winnipeg, Cégep Trois-Rivières, Cégep Gatineau, and UPEI. I'm going to be honest, I don't recognize a lot of names on these rosters, but I do recognize a couple from Winnipeg from commentating some Team Manitoba games. So I'm going to ride with Winnipeg. We're not really going to do picks for that, but I think Winnipeg's going to win. So we did some fun historical analysis. This is, I'm going to nerd out for a second. Danny's going to take a coffee drink here because, I say pool play doesn't really matter, but according to our facts, if you go 3-0 in pool play, you have a 32% chance of winning a championship, and those percentages go exponentially lower to the point where if you go 0-3 pool play, no team has ever won a championship doing that. So try to win your pool, at least come 2-1. You know what I mean? If you come 3-0, you make the semis 96% of the time. If you come 2-1, you make semis 67.4% of the time, and then it exponentially goes down. So we did some fun historical analysis, and I just kind of nerd out on this kind of stat stuff. So I first thought pool play doesn't matter, but clearly the percentages show me that it kind of does matter. If you go 3-0, you're 64% likely to win a medal. 2-1, you're 58%. So there you go.
If you're like me and you hear this and you're like, duh, you're not alone.
What?
I'm right there with you.
Dang, this is, oh my gosh, don't ruin
it. Doesn't mean that because you go 0-3, you are like it's because you're a worse team. If you're losing 3 games of pool play, you're clearly not a good team in terms of like meddling potential.
Okay, you're just ruining all that high-level analysis out here.
No, it's interesting. Correlation does not equal causation, blah, 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 blah. I think it's interesting, but it should not come as a surprise to anybody that if a team wins their pool, they're more likely to win the championship at Pete Galbraith.
It's true. I was just curious to see correlation. That's all I'm saying. And we also have like historical results, which I'm looking at now. It's kind of fun. Like Carleton Open has made it D1 4 times, and I've come 4th each time. And that's pretty sick.
Whoa.
There's some fun tidbits in here. There's some treasures.
We should do like a CUUC trivia night. We host a live next time.
I was told though the team that jumped the most seeds was Laval. They won a title and they jumped 5 seeds. So that is possible, and that was Laval 2 years ago. So
what you're saying is no team lower ranked than 5 has ever won other than Laval?
Oh shoot! Now you put me on the spot. I don't even know if that's. I'll have to find that later.
I mean, again, that wouldn't necessarily be surprising.
Yeah, but I don't think an 8 seed's ever won. I don't know if a Friday qualifier's ever won. I doubt it. They probably made
I would
it.
be surprised.
Yeah.
Anyway, nerding out. Nerding's fun.
Episode done within an hour. Let's go. Danny, you're right. Good job.
I'm usually right, but also your preparation, Theo. 10 out of 10.
I'll try to go a little less prep this time.
Giving the people what they want. So good luck to everybody that's playing. I really wish I could be there. It seems like a fun event, but alas, I am busy. Windy, gross weather. I do hate that, in fact, but got training camps, got UBC tryouts, lots of things happening over here, but please tag us. It makes our lives so much easier to be able to share all the things that your team is doing with the greater Huckin audience.
Yeah, and here's a fun tip for all the Instagrammers out there. There's a new function that I found out about a few weeks ago. Maybe you already know about this, folks, but you can add mentions after you've posted a story, which you couldn't do before. So hit those 3 dots, you can hit add mentions and tag anyone, and you don't even have to type our name in. You can just add it later. U of T does that a lot. Women's love it. So do that and you can still tag us. Okay. Trying to get to 3,500 followers,
It's never enough. You know what I mean? We're always like, 1K, 2K, 3K. We should try to get to 4K by the end of 2023. I don't know if that'll be possible.
No, definitely not. Unless there's a flood of bots that suddenly join us.
Theo, are we going to do a sub only?
I promise a sub only, but I don't have anything on the brain. It's been a long day. Danny, it's been a long day for you. So subs only might have to wait another week.
I'll think of something. I will think of something for next week.
Oh, for next week. Yeah.
For next week. Relax.
Yeah.
She's got another meeting today, right now.
Folks. She went through a lot today. Teaching was a lot. So
and then this is sandwiched between 2 meetings.
There you go. We're busy. The fact that we can record sometimes is a miracle, honestly.
It honestly is an act of a higher being that is able to bring us together sometimes once a week. Praise the podcast guru gods. Okay. Thanks for joining us. If you're still here, I'm so sorry. And we will see you next week for our CUUC mega recap. Who is going to take down the championships? Who is going to be in the conversation for Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, all that good stuff? The Huckin A Heart Award. Come on.
Oh, shoot. I forgot about that. Yes. Hey, D1 teams. Okay, seriously, D1 teams, listen. We need the stuff right away this time, please. We want to get the awards out to celebrate all your achievements. So get them in quick, please. Let's go. Huckin Heart, the best award. Danny's child.
Agreed.
Danny's child.
One of my many children. On that note, goodbye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
See ya.